So now I'm delighted to be joined by Alan Hodgkiss, who's a director of an organisation called Business Doctors. And I've been working with Alan at the end of last year, 2019, to help me plan the growth of my business and to turn it into a more valuable business that wasn't so reliant on me as an owner manager. So hi, Alan. Good to see you.
Yeah, hi Paul, you all right?
Yeah, good. So what I'm
Good.
going to do now, I'm actually going to hand over to you, and you're going to interview me for a change. So over to you.
Yeah, hi Paul. So yeah, we met at an event that we put on in conjunction with actually Brewing Dolphin about how to build a valuable business, and I think that's where you were first engaged about what we do and how what we do what we do. So what particularly kind of captured your imagination and resonated with you on that initial engagement?
Yeah, so I think we'd met or spoken to each other a few times before that, actually at a few different events. But it was when I came to that breakfast seminar that you were running, I think just that really resonated with me because of the stage I was at with the business. Because I've been self-employed, running my own business for over 4 years now, and things have been going pretty well. I'm not a startup anymore, obviously. I'm kind of like an established micro business. But
Yeah,
just last year, beginning of last year in particular, in the run up to startup week, and then immediately after startup week, in the second half of the year, I was thinking, okay, well, in some ways I've achieved everything I set out to achieve. Now what? Like, how do I take it to the next level? And feeling like I needed some bigger goals and bigger aims to grow the business to where I wanted it to be. But I wasn't quite sure how to do that. But hearing a lot of the things that you were talking about, like the kind of, I think you talked about the owner's trap and
yeah,
all these kind
yeah,
of quite common things where you are the business and you're basically doing everything,
yeah,
and you don't necessarily have systems and processes in place, or you don't have the right team around you necessarily to take it to where you want to. So I think it was a case of just timing, obviously, but
yeah.
also the content that you were sharing. You obviously knew what you were talking about, and I thought I need to speak to these guys.
Yeah, no, we're talking about the to build a valuable business is actually 8 factors, which I won't go into today. That can maybe save for another time. But one of the key factors is that a growing business is far more valuable than a business standing still, for a number of reasons. Um, so I think that was one of the key aspects that I think resonated with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's what we then moved forward with to do what we would call a planning day
Yeah.
with yourself. Now, in your case, we did that over a few short periods rather than one long event, but it can be done either way to suit the owners. So going prior to that particular event, what were your expectations about how the planning event was going to go? What did you really think that you wanted to
Um,
get out of it?
yeah, I mean, obviously we talked about it, and having seen your seminar, I had a pretty good idea of kind of what I expect. But I think just actually when we first got together, it was a really good and useful process for me because what I found was a lot of the ideas I already know, they're already in my head, but having someone to actually take those ideas out of your head and just put them on a whiteboard or like a whiteboard paper on the walls and put it all down and really get me thinking deeply, like really hard and really deeply about why I'm doing what I'm doing and what I actually want to achieve, because I've not really stopped to think in
Hmm.
those terms before. So having a real clear structure and process for doing that,
Yeah.
I found that really valuable. So although I was doing a lot of the thinking and talking, you were actually doing a lot of the work. I don't know if that's a normal thing, but I definitely, if it was left to me to do it all, I probably wouldn't have done it.
No.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll share the screen and just talk people through the framework that we use to help, because we, one thing, the way we work is that we don't tell people how to run their business. We just facilitate a process to allow you to think deeply, as you said, about your business.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to try and share this with everybody now, and I'll just I'll talk people through there we go. So yeah, I mean, this is what we call our planning funnel, and we start at the top, and we really get you to think about why you're in this business. What do you want to achieve for yourself first and foremost? A lot of business owners, when we meet them, have forgotten why they started the business in the first place. They've lost sight of what's in it for themselves, and they're generally not that selfish, a lot of business owners. So I think the starting point was to really think for yourself about what you wanted from your business, and then you can shape the business to deliver
Hmm.
what you really want to achieve from it. So that was the starting point, and then we then go into how to create the vision to deliver against those personal aspirations.
Hmm.
And the key there is to really consider what you stand for as a business in the first place. So what your core values are. A lot of people make the mistake of going online and Googling some keywords that they think their values should be. The reality is you will portray your values on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
When you have a team, you will portray them to your team. So it's important that you be really honest with yourself about what your values are, how you want to do business,
Hmm.
and then reflect those. And ultimately, people that align to those values will be the right employees for you going forward
Yeah.
because they believe in the same things as yourself.
Hmm.
We then spend some time looking at what we call the core purpose. So what is this business? Does this business exist? What is your value proposition is a term that's often used. So that really means, what value do people see in your business and what they buy as opposed to what you sell?
Hmm.
So it's really about how to build that emotional connection with you and your business, because that's the long-term way to really grow your business. And that's probably one of the hardest things for most business owners to understand about their own business. When we meet a lot of business owners, they can tell us what they do, they can tell us how they do what they do, but they really struggle to answer the question why. And that is, uh, I think you'll probably remember that was a really tough thing for you to get down to the bottom of, but very, very powerful once you find that. Um, we then built a visionary goal, so not incremental changes, but really something for you to aim for 3 to 5 years down the line, something really, really powerful, really brave, that makes you think differently about how you're going to achieve that, as opposed to just continuing to do what you do.
Yeah.
Um, then, ironically, we look at the world that's going on outside that we can't control.
Hmm.
And when we did this, you may or may not remember, Paul, but one of the big issues at the time, at the end of last year, beginning of this year, was obviously Brexit, and that was the huge immovable object
Yeah.
of which was going to dictate a certain amount of uncertainty for every business. But the important thing about the future proofing, looking across social, economic, technological, and political aspects, they are things that are going on you can't control, and it's really to analyze what's happening out there that can help you grow your business. Some things will actually assist you, particularly in your world of
Hmm.
digitalization, then that's very powerful for a business like yours. But obviously, there's other factors on there that are happening that could have a negative effect on your business. So that's an interesting situation, which has culminated in what we have now, which no one would have predicted, and is very difficult to navigate. But
Yeah.
navigate it, everybody has to.
Yeah.
We then look at what's going on in your market, which is an area that you can control. And again, we spent some time digging deep into your own business, understanding your customers.
Hmm.
And I think, again, you probably found that quite revealing in terms of the value that you create for some customers versus other ones. And your products and services, again, a huge variety of success or otherwise of some of those products and services. And somebody like yourself is very strategic partnerships, so really exploring those and how can those develop further for your business. All in all, you come up with a number of opportunities for growth. Then we sense check that against your internal capabilities to deliver against those external opportunities.
Mhm.
And we terminate that the gives, and it's really looking at what you are great at, and most importantly, what your customers would say that you're great at.
Mhm.
Okay, and then we look at, like any business, there's areas that you can improve. um, there's going to be vulnerabilities in your business, and then we focus on what's your edge, what really makes your business unique,
Mhm.
um, against your competition. And that can be a number of factors. It won't necessarily be one factor, but again, really deep down, look into that, because that's a very important aspect to really facilitate and aid your marketing going forward.
Mhm.
And then we sense check that with the so what test, which really, again, goes back to what customers would say about you, and what they want from you. Sense check your strengths in their eyes, because if they are really engaged with what you do, they will become your marketing. They will tell other people
Mhm.
about what you do,
Mhm.
and that's the most powerful marketing message you can get out there. And then we then look at all that together, and that gives us the external opportunities aligned to your internal strengths and capabilities, which becomes your strategy. That's all strategy is. People get very hung up on that word, but that's all it is, really.
Mhm.
Aligning those external opportunities with the internal capability to deliver them. Relatively speaking, that's the easy part. The the plan is implementation, is where it is really difficult for a lot of business owners, because that really revolves around three areas, which is the sales performance, around your team and your people, and then measuring your success, or otherwise putting KPIs against that, and having a really good handle on your numbers, which again, current times have probably portrayed that more than ever. Cash flow, most people never even thought about it. Now it's probably number one in a lot of business owners' minds now, because it has to be, because of the current situation. And then it's important that out of all that, we'll get 3 or 4 critical success factors that really will be the objectives that the business focuses on, and then we'll align a series of plans to that, which will help deliver those objectives. And I'll show later on how that plan culminates in itself.
Mhm.
So that's a brief outline for everybody to understand where we got to. So how did that resonate with you, Paul, and what did you get out of that process?
Yeah. Well, I think again, just I'd never done anything like that before, because it's probably quite, like you said, touched on there, quite common. I think when I first went self-employed, it's like I'd wanted to do my own thing for a long time, but never quite hit on the big idea. And I've had lots of big ideas, but never talked myself out of it, or thought I was better placed somewhere else, adding value in a job, and just kind of it just got to a point where I was like, I want to be my own boss. I think I'm in the point now where I've read all the books, I've been to all the events. It's just inside me. I just want to do. So how do I take what I've already done and start making money from providing inbound marketing, community engagement, consultancy, and events? So I've started it. It's gone quite well, and then but the first day I was just, can I make enough money to keep going? Like, can I make enough money to pay the bills? Then the next day it was, can I do it a bit better and make a bit more money, refine it? And then the third year again, how do I grow it? But as Startup Week has become such a big thing, it is a big undertaking. It takes about 11 months
Yeah.
planning and organisation that it has dominated most of my activity. So even though I'm busy doing stuff all year round, most of my money, most of the income comes from that one event. So I knew that coming, and I haven't really pushed the consultancy side of things. I've not done as much of that. I have done some big projects, but I've focused more on the event. So that was another reason for wanting to work with you, because coming into the end of last year, I knew I was vulnerable, and I knew that there was too much riding on that one event. And if things didn't work, or if I was tired or couldn't be bothered or whatever, because there's a lot of human effort goes into it as well.
Yeah.
I have a loose collective of people who help me deliver the event, but it's still mostly me working on it all year until the final months. So yeah, just going through that whole process of thinking like really honestly about the state of the business, and despite having some successes in some areas, there was obviously some weaknesses and not as successful as it could have been or maybe should be. And I remember as well, like when we were putting down where the opportunities were, you were saying, why you're not doing that? And I'm like, I don't know. There's a massive opportunity there, and I'm spending loads of time on this area that's not very lucrative. I'm not going to make much money from that. But with a bit of focus and effort, there's a big opportunity here. So that was really, really good to have someone external get me thinking about that. Yeah, and the whole, like you say, the external threats. Brexit seems like a tiny thing now, doesn't it? It's like, what's like on?
Just still got to come though. We're still going to have to navigate that, of course.
But like you say, that seemed like the biggest thing ever. But again, though, even though coronavirus and everything that's going on now, going through that process with you last year, I think has really helped prepare me for now. Because I have gone through that process and I have thought really deeply about what I'm doing. And I think I said before we started, the last month or so for me has been about steadying the ship, trying to stop money going out as quickly, trying to get new money coming in, being entrepreneurial and innovative and pivoting what I was doing to move from the physical event to the online event, which is what I wanted to do anyway. I'm just doing it a bit sooner and in a different way to how I planned.
You and a lot of others, I think a lot of people are in the same boat, that they've digitized their business far more quickly because they've had no choice. And the thing is, once we get through this, and obviously COVID-19 is an extremely huge example of effects that we can't control, but there will be other things that come along that will affect businesses that they can't control. So it's just being constantly aware of them and navigating around them.
Yeah, having that plan definitely is really useful, because I'm referring to it all the time, and really not that much. In some ways, nothing's changed. Like apart from the external stuff, like everything I said I wanted to do, I still want to do, and again, get me be a bit more selfish and thinking a bit more, what do I actually want to get out of this, instead of, yes, I want to create something of value that lots of people can benefit from, but I want to be successful. I want to make some money from it whilst helping other people as well at the same time. So I'm not a charity, so you can have social aims, but there's nothing wrong with making money. You need to make money to do good things. So.
Yeah, to sustain the business, it's as simple as that. And grow it. Okay, great. So I'll share the plan. I've taken some of the confidential information out of there, and just bear with me, just to show people what it actually looks like. Okay. So this is, try and get me pointer on. There we go. So this is the 4 success factors that we would have written down there. As I say, I've taken the confidential information out from there. The key is that that whole day, with, I think there was about 30 pages of information we came up with in the end, we crystallized it all down into this one document. So you've now got that single page, living, breathing document. So as I say, you've got your 4 factors here, then you've got a series of projects that are written along the top here that are specific to deliver against these factors, and they are aligned either fully, they're either relevant, or if there's a blank space, they're not relevant to that particular objective. So it gives you a real focus on how to achieve them. And then underneath, like any good plan, you need measurable outcomes, and this is the descriptions that indicate whether there's been, what the outcome is and how you can measure it for yourself. And some target dates, which obviously This was the original plan, so going back from March all the way till June. And then there's a progress bar along the bottom that helps you measure yourself and the business, so that when you've got a team of people, you're all singing off the same hymn sheet. This is the hymn sheet, and everybody knows where they're up to. And then you can, all your management meetings will be revolving around this plan, how you're doing against it, what issues have you got, and you can really work together to resolve those. Because any plan, you're going to have humps in the road, roundabouts, coronavirus, things that throw it off track. So, it needs to be flexible, a living, breathing document, and that's what this, hopefully, you found has been for you, Paul.
Mm-hmm. I think as well. Obviously, there's that's the on a plan on a one page, but there is. I've got it here. I've got the document, so there's a lot more to it as well, isn't there? There's all the information in there that I think again what was really good about that is it's not just you've got the ideas out of my head, but also there's some you've contributed to that as well. So you've fed some things in there about your perspectives of like what you think that I offer and what the appeal of me and my business are to partners or sponsors or clients. So that was good as well.
I think the critical thing is, Paul, I just ask questions for you to think. Really, it's your business. You interpret that how you want, but I just challenge you on asking you those pertinent questions for you to think about, and then you decide if it's something that you want to go forward with, and that's the crucial thing. Yeah. They're just really little pointers to consider.
Yeah.
Primarily. Okay. So in terms of the outcomes, then, how has that really manifested itself in terms of where you've moved forward?
Yeah. So obviously it's been a bit of a funny start of the year for everyone. So start of the year like really, really clear and focused on what I was going to do this year. But I was still very focused on delivering the physical event in May, and then thinking, right, okay, as soon as that's over, I'm going to shift my focus onto more of the online activities and delivery. But it's flipped. It's flipped, and like I say, I have started some of the. So one of the key things that we're talking about there, I've got some really good partnerships in place with people like HubSpot. So HubSpot, inbound marketing software provider. I was an affiliate for them. They've asked me to be a solutions provider for HubSpot, which is the next level up, and means I've got more direct access to key people in the HubSpot team, and I've got extra resources, and that's a key thing that I haven't really focused much time or effort on, but I have in the last month or so. I've been a lot more proactive with that in making sure that I'm as knowledgeable about that as I can be, but also be more alert to when people actually are genuinely looking for solutions like that, and I can help them, and not not being reluctant to do that because I didn't want to come across as salesy or pushing something that they didn't want, but actually people are saying that they want to know how to use HubSpot, or they don't know enough about it, and I can educate them, but I can also help them get the most out of those products because I'm using them myself, and I wouldn't say I'm an expert necessarily yet, but I am.
But you're passionate.
Yeah, well, I'm passionate, but also I'm more knowledgeable than most people on how to use it, and it is a really good software that if you use it right, if you use it properly, it can make a big difference to the marketing automation and the growth of your business, because I'm doing it. That's what I use to grow my business and start a week. That's what I use.
Good. Okay, so a final question then really is in terms of your initial expectations versus the outcomes and what happened, how do you feel?
Like I say, it was really good to have someone helping me for a change, because it sounds bad, but I do spend a lot of time giving help and advice to other people, but it's nice to have someone who's more knowledgeable and more experienced of growing businesses, because not only are you a director of business doctors, but you have got a real wealth of experience prior to that. So I was going to say, for anyone that's wondering, previously you were managing director of the sports division at JD Sports and
The fashion division, yeah.
Fashion division, and and in retail, you need good systems and processes if you're going to run and grow your business nationally, and loads of other experience over there. So having someone like you, sharing some of that knowledge and expertise, as well as having a good robust system like this, has really sort of helped me think bigger and better for this year.
No, that's great. And the irony is that most people who work in retail, it's a great leveler, and it's not often what people aspire to do. They fall into it by accident. And so as an industry, they've embraced technology hugely, because to eliminate as many of the mundane tasks that there are in retail, to obviously focus on the more interesting service orientated tasks, then technology has been adapted by retailers for a long time. So that's something that I think a lot of other businesses now are starting to understand. Okay, you've got your technical businesses out there naturally, but a lot of manufacturing businesses and traditional businesses understand now that the technology can really add value to their industries as well. So it's always a learning curve for everybody.
Yeah. So you've obviously got on the screen there that people can book a Zoom session for free consultation, free health check on the business, and you've got your contact details there. So what's before the coronavirus lockdown, and like what type of business, or maybe that's pretty broad, or what type of, or what stage of business would normally benefit from this? Is it kind of quite typical people at my stage, or is it later? Or
I mean, it's really everybody that gets stuck. Business owners get to certain levels and get stuck, and they don't know why, really. And often the solution to that is to try doing what they've always done for longer hours, for more, get the team to do the same. And often the reality is to actually step back from all that and look holistically at the business, and really, as I say, drill down into it from the outside looking in. That's very hard to do for a business owner, because one, time, and two, they're not quite sure how to do it. So that's really the advantage of using a third party to come in. And sometimes I ask dumb questions, but sometimes those dumb questions actually ignite real positive responses from the business owners to say, actually, why do we do it that way? So that's kind of what it's all about, really.
I definitely found it's probably your style as well, but I think we get on really well. We've got good rapport, but it's very collaborative. It wasn't you just telling me what to do and sort of dictating or anything like that. It did feel the whole process was we were doing it together, and so I think that definitely the person on this side has to be in the right frame of mind to do it. They have to be open to that. I knew that I'd reached a point where, even like the startup week, each day has a different theme. So inspiration, getting started, funding and finance, growing and scaling, keep going, or pivot. I've gone through those phases. So I've gone through the inspiration. I've started something. I've explored the funding and finance options, and I was at that day 4 stage where it was like, and because a lot of the people that tend to come to the day 4 event for startup week over the years, there's a lot of owner manager companies who are just a little bit stuck, and they're doing pretty well for themselves, but they just don't know how to take it to the next level, because again, they tend to be the ones who are maybe the most knowledgeable, the quickest at doing something. It's just quicker and easier. They just do it instead of asking someone else. But, like you say, they're never good. They're spending so much time working on in the business, they're not working on it, and they're not taking that strategic
Yeah.
route. So
And I understand letting go for a lot of business owners is really difficult. But you hit on something there that, mindset is absolutely one of the key aspects to this. Um, you've got to want to go on this journey. As I said earlier, the planning piece, we can help with that. That's relatively speaking the easy part. The implementation, especially when you've got a team to engage with that new plan, that can be really challenging. You might have a team that isn't aligned to what the business needs, and that's got to be looked at, and that can be difficult for people, especially if it's a family business and you've got close relations involved. So it's not easy. um, and as I say, the owners have got to go on a challenging journey, and you've got to want to do that, and that's not necessarily for everybody. There's nothing wrong with having a lifestyle business, and it being about yourself, other than all the values in the owner. And at some stage, that's going to be a difficult business to sell in the future.
Yeah, I think that was another key thing from that seminar that you did about you can have a successful business, you could be making lots of money, you could be making good profit and stuff, but to exit the business, I remember one of your slides or a couple of slides you talked about, at some point you are going to exit the business. Either you're going to sell the business, you're going to retire, you're going to move on to become the chairman of the board, or you're going to die, you're going to get ill. Like at some point you are going to exit the business. So like what type of exit do you want? And start thinking now about that. And again, just up till then, I was just working on it and thinking, oh well, this is good. I think I can grow it, and it's I'm having fun. And but it was like, well, I don't want to do the same thing forever, and it doesn't have to be me doing this all the time. It's I've deliberately kept a lean operation where it's basically just me in the business, but I bring people in as and when I need them to on a freelancer basis. But that's not valuable. Like people aren't going to buy the business or invest in the business if it's just me doing everything. So yeah, that just again, the timing was just perfect for doing this, and thinking about the type of people I need to bring in, the systems and processes, and just thinking a lot bigger, and growing, being more ambitious. I've always been ambitious, but yeah, just thinking how ambitious I am and where I want to take it.
Great.
Right. So the last thing I was going to say, because obviously you focus on it's anywhere really in the northeast, isn't it? But like I guess now, because you have other people in business doctors.
Yeah. There's three of us in the northeast. Myself, Graham Robson, based out of Sunderland and Durham, and then we've got colleague Simon Grant down in Teesside. So yeah, we can help anybody across the region, or we're actually a national network of about 40 to 50 in the UK, and then actually we've got international operations in places like South Africa and Malta and Belgium as well. So the business is international.
Great, yeah. I was going to say, because although most of the people who will be watching this will be from the northeast, we do have people from across the UK and overseas as well. So so yeah, it's good for them to know. But definitely, if in the first instance, get in touch with you if
or the website, which I mean is businessdoctors.co.uk. So there's lots of information on there, and a lot of good free information on our website as well. So please feel free to utilize that.
Good stuff. And then I guess the last thing, like, how are you finding the whole lockdown? Is it
well, twofold. As you know, I had an office environment, so I'm working from home now in the loft. And but yeah, I mean, obviously very busy trying to support business owners through this, hugely unexpected situation. It's gone through phases of supporting people with their staff, first of all, which the furlough situation helped a lot with. Then in the most recent times, it's been about cash, understanding cash flow for them. And we've got some tools. We've got a free tool again on the website that's a real simple cash flow tool if people want to try that, called Flow. And then we've got a slightly more sophisticated one that we can work with owners on to help you plan the finances of your business called Pulse. And then obviously there's been the grants, so I've supported a lot of people on that as well, both the Sybil's and even on, sorry, they're the loans, and the but even the council grants have been difficult for certain people to get. It's not been as straightforward as perhaps people thought. So yeah, just really trying to support people as much as we can, and then we're now moving into the next phase, which is going to be the revival phase, really coming. How do you manage your way out of this? And that's going to be different for every single business, and some difficult decisions are going to have to be made, obviously.
Well, definitely, apart as well as what we've done for the strategic plan, strategic review, you have been really supportive of me since we did this as well, and you've been looking out for me, like you've been recommending things and suggesting things, in particular, like most recently with the whole coronavirus. So I really appreciate you doing that, and
Nice.
looking forward to continuing to work with you in whatever way we can.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. Should we? Is there anything else you want to encourage people to
No,
do?
that's it, Paul. As I say, it's been great working with you. As I say, you get out of it what you put into it, and you've been fantastic in terms of the amount of effort you've put into it. So you'll reap the rewards.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, it is all, like you say, it is all about the implementation. I've got the plan. I know what I need to. It's just about focusing, cracking on, and doing it now. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. I'll end it there. All right. Cheers, Alan.
Thank you.